Hello all, welcome to this tutorial. This is basically a continuation of the previous 2D dimensioning that we're doing. Okay, so let's go ahead. And today the sketch that we're going to do is this. So this is basically a model. Okay, so this particular thing we're just going to do 2D sketching as of now. All right, we'll get into the 3D aspect a little later, the next session or the one after that probably. Okay, so let's get started. So let's quickly draw this profile. Okay, so ignore these lines and all of this dotted lines. So that's not what you're going to focus on, just the solid lines alone. Okay, and so I see this profile here. All right, I see this profile, I see this profile. So let's go ahead and create one by one. Okay, so let's start with the bigger ones. So where do we have the radius and diameter? Okay, we have the diameter here. So we have the diameter of this is 2 and diameter of this is 2.76. Okay, so let's go ahead and do those two circles first. I'm just going to click on sketch, just select a random plane. Perfect. And let me just draw two circles. Just gonna give fit. Okay. And what's the other diameter again? Okay, that's 2.76. Just key in the dimension first. Alright, and I just click here. Select the center, and since I'm giving it with the center, it would be fully constrained already, and since I'm only mentioning the diameters as well. Okay, alright, so what we have next? So we have one smaller circle with a dia 0.75. Just key in the value 0.75 and select the center. Okay, so I can take that 0.75. Okay, super. Okay, and what do we have next? So this outer diameter is just a dotted line, is showing the center axis of this particular feature that is being created here. Okay, so let's go ahead and create that one as well. So it's diameter 4.50. So I'm just going to create it, diameter 4.50, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to right click and make it reference, convert to reference, or I can just press and hold the right mouse button and then click and drag it to convert to reference. So let me go ahead and convert to reference. Okay, so what do we have next? We have like, it's given like one typical, so that's the distance from here to here. All right, so that's all right. So what is this particular circle's diameter? So there are two circles here. Okay, this diameter 0.38 and radius would be 0.38. Okay, so it's given like two different ones. Okay, just make sure always like the units. So values basically. So one would be r, one would be dia. So make sure which parameter we are defining. Okay, so give one is radius and one is diameter. I'm just going to select here. Dia is 0.38 and I can do the second one as well here. Okay, sorry. If you're not able to select the same point, just click on select from list. You'll see something called as arc center. Okay, so just, oops, my bad. Just click on select from list. So this would be the point on curve. That's not what we need. So this is the arc of sketch. So this is the one that we need. Okay, so this should be 0.38. We're going to give it like divided by 2. Okay, because it's basically a radius. And if at all you think you want this particular dimension in radius only, okay, then what you could do is just double click on it, all right, and you can just select the radial value. So it would give you the radial value, okay. And what I'm going to do next is, there is this outer circle, okay, so this particular diameter is given here, that is 3.50. so just going to click here, select this 3.50. okay, so now we have all the circles that we need, okay, and we also have this. So what I'm going to show you right now, if you just look, this particular curve, it is on the bold circle, but I created it here, so I just deleted that, okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create it, and this time I'm not going to create it here, I'm just going to create it here. And the reason I'm creating it here is because I'm going to do a pattern, and always it's better to do a pattern keeping it at any of the axis. All right, you can either keep it at the vertical axis or the horizontal axis. So I'm just going to select this, okay, and I'm just going to put in right click, select from list, arc center, just to ensure I have the same center, okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give point on curve. This particular point, I'm just going to pick it, select from list, arc center, just give it here, okay. Just give one point, it's more than enough. You don't have to give it for both the circles because these are concentric since they're taken from the same point, okay. And the diameter and radius is 0.38 and 0.38. So let me go ahead and give that value. Radial .38. Oh wow, that's bad. Okay. And I'm just gonna do the dia here. Dia. And this would be 0.38 as well. Perfect. So now we have our feature here, okay. And what else do we need here? We have covered the circles, 1 2 3 4 5 circles, okay. And then we got this particular feature, all right, but we have like have it like at 3 different places, and if you notice it's 120 degree, that's equally placed, okay. 120 degree, 3 places, so 1 2 and 3. So I'm just going to pattern that particular feature, okay. And before I pattern it, I'm just going to make that particular line as well, okay. And when you have issues selecting the point, you can just like zoom in a little and then select, or you can just right click here and select from list. You will see something called as point on curve, okay. Just go ahead and select that, okay. So now first thing that we need to do is we need to make it tangent, all right. I believe the tangency is already there, so if it's already there, it would give you a message saying constraint only exists, and you can try it for this. Super. So the constraint only exists, okay. And now we can try and make it I'm going to show you a feature, okay. This is called as make symmetry. So click on make symmetric. So you see this curve, just going to select this curve, it's going to select this curve, 2 curves, just going to select this particular point, and if you notice, this is now symmetric along this point, okay. And now all that I need to do is I need to give a distance or an angle for this. So let's see what we have here. We have the distance, okay. So let's go ahead and give the distance. So select the distance. I'm just going to select can select a vertical distance, okay, from this point to this point. Oops. Let me just try to reselect that. Use inferred When you're not sure which one is picking up, you can just go ahead and click on this. So from the endpoint to this point, so endpoint. So now we have the distance, and I believe the value is almost close enough, but yes, we'll give it to 1 as per the sketch. So this is covered and all of this is covered. So let's go ahead and make this feature pattern. Okay, so you would see something called as a pattern curve here, and when you expand this, so you see this is pattern curve, and just go ahead and select the curve. Okay, and what I'm going to do is you have something called as linear, circular, and general. General we don't usually use it much because most of the ones would be your circular ones, linear. So I'm going to use circular for this. Okay, and select the rotation point. So when you see the sketch here, it's rotated with this as the center, right? So I'm going to specify that particular point. Okay, and then it's asking me how many counts do I need. So you have like count and pitch, count and span, pitch and span. Okay, so each of this we will discuss in detail, okay, as and when the situation arises. But as of now, so the count is just 3, and the pitch angle. Okay, so let's say the pitch angle is so it's 360, so 120 degrees pitch angle is already given to you. Okay, so just in case, so you have it is just showing here. Okay, and in case this particular pitch angle is not given and it says they're like equally spaced, so what would you do? You have something called as count and span. Okay, so just give 3 and you give 360, so it automatically 360 divides by 3 and should be like divided equally. Okay, and then you have again the pitch and span. So you're not sure about the number, wherein this particular is here mentioned as 3 places, and sometimes maybe you're really not sure, you're just doing a trial and error method, but that's in very rare scenarios. Okay, so that time you would use this. Okay, so let's go ahead and give this count and pitch. Perfect. So we have our curves here. Okay, and if you notice here, there are these remaining curves being deleted. So there is one best thing about this pattern. So what happens in pattern is, so whatever actions you perform on the first original curve, it would reflect on the child parts, child curves basically. Okay, so I'm just going to do trim. The shortcut is T, and I just showed it to you last time, which is like quick trim. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and delete this. Okay, so I believe we have a curve. If you notice, I did it here and it's taken for these two as well. Okay, so that's done, and what else is left? So we have this particular slot left, and we have these lines, right? So these lines are placed at, let's check this distance. So it's placed as 0.25. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make this okay, so 0.25, and I'm just going to give it as midpoint. Okay, so click on C and you see midpoint. Okay, and dimensional constraint D, you can choose perpendicular, and what's the value? It's 0.25. Okay, and I'm going to do a similar thing here as well. So the curve is anyways just from here to here. Okay, to avoid multiple tasks, what I can do is I can just give it from here to here. Okay, so it makes trimming a little easier. Okay, and since continuous auto dimensioning is on, you see this dimensions automatically coming. If you want, you can always go ahead here and just switch it off. Okay, and just go on dimension again, so you can choose perpendicular. Okay, and choose the geometric constraint, shortcut C, midpoint. Just select the line, then select the point. So now you will see that it's placed. Okay, and what you can go ahead and do is you can go ahead and trim the remaining curves. Okay, if you see this particular line does not extends only to the two circles here. Okay, and does not even have the inside one. So let's first go ahead and clear the inside one. Okay, so I'm just going to draw around it. Perfect, that's being trimmed out. And if you notice, this particular thing is there, but however this thing's not here, right? So 1 2 3 4, the details are really important because you would understand this, start working on the drafting aspect. Okay, because each and every even if it's a small curve, it really matters. Okay, and then what else remains here? So I need to trim it till here, right? So okay, so I believe we're good now. So this side is good, so do the same on this side as well. So it's being done, and now we need to do it on this side as well. Okay, I think I took an extra step, so let me just undo that. Okay, okay, so now this is being trimmed. So we've got a feature which we wanted. Okay, so if you want, you can even hide the dimensions. Okay, you can you see something called a show and hide here. Okay, just click on it and you'll see something called sketch dimensions. You can just hide it, just in case first you need to build the curve and then if you want to dimension it. Okay, and here you see there is a small line as well. Okay, and that is a 5.50 by 3.50. so let's go ahead and draw this particular rectangle. I can use this reference. Okay, then I give a dimensional constraint. Okay, sorry, 5.5. Invert, just you can either give the invert. Okay, make sure you select the line when you give invert, or you can pick vertical and you can select the points. And the dimension which I have here is 3.5. Okay, and then I can give the midpoint constraint. So just select midpoint is already selected, and just pick this line. I can either pick this, I can pick that, and then select the midpoint, that is the center axis. Okay, and now you see that it's constrained with respect to that. And then the only feature that I have left now is this particular feature, which is this one. Okay, so I would draw a simple rectangle for that as well with a 0.50. Just click on rectangle here, you can either select click on dimension, or I already have a continuous auto dimension here. Okay, just double click on that and I would just give the value. So I think it's 0.5, right? Yeah. And then again I would give the midpoint constraint, select the line, give the axis on the point. So now that's done. So now again I select trim, so I just select this. Okay, so this is the curve that we need. Okay, these three curves are not needed. Okay, so I believe we got what we need here. So let me just go ahead and show all the dimensions. And let's see, sketch is fully constrained with 11 auto dimensions. Let's see what are those dimensions and quickly constrain them. Alright, so this is the only curve that we have left here. Okay, and if you notice this particular thing, the extent, right, the quick extend, this is an option where you can actually extend the curve. Okay, and if you notice here, this link is broke here, but if I click here, this link will be complete. Okay, so this is a very useful tool as well. Okay, so to Control Z here, but here if you notice I would not be able to do it because it needs something like, for example, just let me click on quick extend here. So you see this, it actually takes this point because this point is attached to a different point. Okay, so you need something like a breaking point. So let's say I join this particular line like this, just to join this particular line like this. Okay, and then now I use this quick extend. Let's try it and see if it works. You see that? So that is the thing. So it needs to have a point touching at it. Okay, so now I'm going to just delete this particular curve. So if you see, sketch is fully constrained with 15 auto dimensions. Okay, so sometimes what happens is that there are some, especially when you trim curves in middle and all of that, right? So you get dimensions like this. So whichever dimension which you think are required, you can just go ahead and convert to driving. Okay, or you can just press and hold the right mouse button, just move it to the right, okay, bottom right, and that would convert to driving. So you have like 12 auto dimensions. And the other way of doing it is, do not use this method if you're working on anything that involves like most detailing kind of thing. Okay, so I'm just going to select dimension here. Okay, select all of the dimensions as a filter. Okay, then just right click, convert to driving. So active curve or driving dimension. Alright, so when I do that, the sketch is fully constrained. So this is a method which is usually preferred to do it a little quickly, but it's very important. So when you do a particular point, right, a particular dimension, it's very important to check in each direction the translatory motion between X and Y axis to make sure it's constrained in all directions. Alright, and then you can click on finish. That's it for today. Thank you.